Hey, I'm Erick Ewaskowitz, the Director of Coaching and Training for the Southern Michigan Conference. Have you ever thought about what God loves and hates? What's interesting is the Bible actually tells us. In Isaiah 61 verse 8 we read, "For I, the Lord, love justice. I hate robbery and wrongdoing." What does it mean that the Lord loves justice? What does justice mean in the Bible? The word translated as justice in the Old Testament is the Hebrew word mishpat. In its most basic form, it means punishment for wrongdoing and also giving or restoring people's rights. And in the Bible, the majority of references to justice are specifically restoring the rights of the vulnerable, marginalized, and disadvantaged. Biblical justice was showing special concern and care for the cause of the poor, the widows, orphans, and immigrants, what some scholars have referred to as the quartet of the vulnerable. And we read in Isaiah 61:8 that God loves justice. He doesn't just like justice. He doesn't just think it's a good idea. He's not mildly interested in it. Justice isn't just the fad of the day or the politically correct thing to support. God loves justice. God is deeply and passionately committed to it. And one of the reasons we know this is because this idea is repeated several times throughout the Old Testament. In Psalm 33 verse 5 we read, "The Lord loves righteousness and justice. The earth is full of his unfailing love." And in Psalm 37 verse 28 we read, "For the Lord loves the just and will not forsake his faithful ones." God loves justice, but just as important as what God loves is what God hates. And Isaiah 61:8 goes on to say, "I hate robbery and wrongdoing." God hates when people take what doesn't belong to them. God hates when people rob others of their rights, their dignity and worth. God hates wrongdoing. He hates the systems and structures that oppress people and keep them stuck in a place of disadvantage. God hates systems that grow and increase the power of some at the expense and exploitation of others. Another way of saying this is that God hates injustice. God is not mildly bothered by injustice. He doesn't just dislike injustice. He doesn't just passively wish that it didn't exist. He hates it. And what God hates is just as important as what God loves. So what does this mean for you and me? If God loves justice and hates injustice, and if you and I truly believe in and follow God, then we should love justice and hate injustice as well. If we truly believe in and follow God, we shouldn't just like justice or be mildly interested in it or see it as a niche cause or passion for some Christians. We should deeply and passionately love justice ourselves. If we truly believe in and follow God, then we shouldn't just dislike injustice or be mildly bothered by it or passively expect others to do something about it. We should hate the injustice that we see in our neighborhoods, churches, communities, and in our world as well. So how can we do this? How can we grow in our love of justice and our hatred of injustice? Let me suggest 4 acts of love. First, love listens. Psychologist M. Scott Peck once wrote, "The first act of love is to listen." When we love, we listen. When we love justice, we notice, pay attention, and listen to the injustice in our communities. We know who the vulnerable and the marginalized are, and we listen to them and are aware of their needs. Second, love serves. As we notice and listen to the injustice around us, the needs become evident, and we don't sit passively on the sidelines. We use our resources and influence to meet the needs that we've identified. We take a posture not of what we can get from others, but how we can give to others, how we can serve them. We put the needs of others before our own. Third, love protects. As a husband and father, I feel a deep responsibility to protect my family from anything that might threaten their well-being. In the same way, when we love justice, we fight for and protect those who are victims of injustice. Dr. Martin Luther King expressed this powerfully when he wrote in his letter from a Birmingham jail, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." Fourth, and lastly, love sacrifices. If we love justice, we'll make sacrifices for the vulnerable among us. Loving justice will cost us. We will pay a price, and it's probably going to hurt along the way. Jesus once said to his disciples, "Greater love has no one than this, that he lay down his life for his friends." And Jesus didn't just say this. He modeled it in the ultimate way, when he laid his life down on the cross for us, when we were vulnerable and marginalized. When we were robbers and wrongdoers, he rescued us so that we could be restored into relationship with him. And so in turn, we are now called to lay down our lives for others, especially the vulnerable and oppressed. God's love and hatred should motivate us to do justice. As your love for God grows, and as you continue through this course, may your love for justice and your hatred for injustice grow as well.